Hi all, this is Steph Giordano with Human Services Research Institute, or HSRI. This is the first of 5 modules for our 2017-18 refresher trainings for the National Core Indicators Adult In-Person Survey. Before we get started, I do want to remind everybody listening that this is a refresher training and therefore only intended for those of you who have gone through a full training and are returning to the project. If you are totally new to the project, you should be working with your coordinator to set up that full training. So getting into this first module, we're going to take a look at the National Core Indicators Project. So what is NCI? NCI is a voluntary effort by public DD agencies to measure and track their own performance. This is our 20th year this year, so we started back in 1997 with 13 piloting states. We are now up to 46 states in Washington, D.C. We also have included 22 sub-state entities in the project. The project itself is coordinated by HSRI, the organization I work for, along with NASDS, which is the National Association of State Directors of DD Services. We'll be taking a look at a number of indicators in later modules, but what an indicator is a standard measure used across all of the states to assess outcomes of services provided to people and families. So using the same items in the survey, we're able to help states measure and track their own performance. The indicators we have address key areas of concern, including employment, rights, service planning, community inclusion, choice, health and safety, and another of other larger domains of interest. NCI expanded rather exponentially several years ago now, largely based on an awarded contract from the Administration on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities, AIDD. That contract helped fund 5 new states' participation in NCI each year for 5 years. The goal was to increase participation to all 50 states. We see here the current map of NCI participating states. So again, the goals of NCI largely to establish that nationally recognized set of performance and outcome indicators for DD service systems, to use valid and reliable data collection methods and tools. That means that everybody goes through this refresher training, if not a full training each year, to stay up to date with NCI protocol and any changes and updates to the survey itself. Another goal of NCI is to assist states in reporting or looking at state-to-state comparisons, as well as national benchmarks of system-level performance. So NCI uses a suite of tools to help states measure and track their performance. We have family surveys, which are mailed surveys to families of adults with disabilities living in or out of the home. We also have a mail survey that goes to families of children with disabilities who are living in the home. We have a staff stability survey that looks at indicators around providers. And we have the Adult In-Person Survey, formerly the Adult Consumer Survey, which is what we'll be focusing on. The NCI Adult In-Person Survey uses conversations with adults receiving services to get information about the experiences that they have with the service system. The questions we ask are key to important person-centered outcomes, including those system-level indicators we discussed earlier. A consistent survey approach is very important to ensuring reliability. So again, ensuring that we ask questions in the same manner to everyone allows us to be able to make those comparisons state to state. The Adult In-Person Survey has those same 4 parts of the survey as always. So we have that pre-survey information, which is collected before the meeting takes place. Those are the questions that help interviewers set up and conduct the meeting. We then have background information, which is obtained from the best source. Typically, a good amount of this information is collected before the meeting takes place, but occasionally interviewers may be collecting some information at the time of the meeting or sometime after. Section 1 of the survey meeting is only for people who are receiving services. It's those more subjective questions, things like whether the person is happy where they live, where they work, with what they do during the day. Section 2 of the NCI meeting does allow for proxy respondents when necessary, so we allow for somebody who knows the person well to assist in completing this part of the survey, which has more objective questions. So finally, states use NCI data in a whole host of ways. Some of the typical ways we see states using NCI data are for CMS waiver requirements, for quality assurance, and to improve services for individuals and families, to make those state-to-state comparisons, to assist with community transition, meaning that some states will use NCI data to look at individuals moving from institution settings into the community to make sure that transition is going smoothly. For quality and DD councils, a number of states have set up such councils and other stakeholder groups to help look at data and review priorities for the state, and to create reports to state legislatures. It's really helpful to have an idea of how your state is using the NCI data, in part to just have a better sense of how this information is used, but also to be able to really talk about the project and what it means to individuals in your state and why it is important and so helpful that they are answering questions in the survey itself. So that takes us to the end of Module 1. The next module will look at pre-survey and background information collection strategies. Thank you all so much for listening.